Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, this is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And I figured, why not do a throwback to the original intro that I used to use on YouTube, because we're celebrating like it's 2021 all over again. If you guys look at the screen on the weekly view, we could see that altcoins are going absolutely crazy right now. And the daily is also looking very good. We could actually see on the daily that a lot of altcoins are actually up double-digit plus figures, with a lot of them being utility plays. But the craziest part about today is how fast Bitcoin woke up. And this is something that I have been mentioning over the last couple weeks, right? The second that we broke over the previous highs, we were going to teleport to 120K. We are at almost $117,000 on Bitcoin right now, a new all-time high. Trading volume going crazy. And the best part about this is Ethereum is about to break $3,000 and it's outperforming Bitcoin by over 2x on the weekly. XRP also hitting about $2.57. We love to see that. Also, XLM up significantly on the last week, 26.9%. HBAR also up 24.8% on the last week. And I've also been focused on SUI. SUI is actually up about 16.5%. But guys, these are incredible gains so far. And the best part is that this is just the beginning. Now, I will say right now, for those out there that are getting a little, panicky, maybe you guys didn't buy enough, don't rush out to FOMO into anything. Again, just be patient. Opportunities will come again. So just be a little bit more patient here, but it's very exciting to see all of this. And if we actually go over here to the overall market, let me actually refresh just to make sure everything is up to date. We are now at greed levels. So again, this is why I'm urging, us to all be a little bit cautious here. Altcoin season though, 30 out of 100. Altcoins are starting to steal the show a bit more. Market cap, 2.63 trillion. And of course, on the 24-hour span, we could see all of the gains across the board for altcoins. Algorand also up 15% today, 23% in the last 7 days. Love to see that. But overall, this is exactly how fast things can change. Now, I will say, and I really do want to say one thing real quick to all of you. I want to say congratulations to those who actually listened. Because for the last few weeks, the main thing that I was saying over and over and over again is, why are we not bullish right now? Price action was lagging, price action was boring, but I kept saying that we were going much higher and that July was going to be a very bullish month for crypto. And guess what? We're extremely bullish, we're higher, and price action is finally catching up. Now, I also said that altcoins are about to see the largest inflow since 2021. I also believe that that is starting. And it all really kind of begins with Ethereum. I mean, listen, Ethereum has been going crazy for the last month. I mean, in the last 7 days, we're up about 15%. In the last month, we're up about 6.39%. Now, you might say, well, Nick, that doesn't mean anything, because it's only 6.39%. But if we look at the overall view here, it is very significant because we're now breaking out of all of these highs since going back to May. And if we could break over $3,000 and reclaim these levels back here from November, so about 3,300, I'll put it this way, right? If we could break over 3,300 and actually close on the weekly above it, then we will teleport to $4,000 just as fast as Bitcoin teleported to 117K from like 110K. Things can happen so fast in this space. People underestimate it. But I do believe that we are starting phase 2 here. And from phase 2, we head into Altseason. Now, I also did mention that the M2 supply is about to explode even more on July 22nd with the new release. I have 2 words for you: lock in. Now, a lot of people are actually kind of confused exactly what this new release is. This is the M2 money supply release that they release every single month. This is the next major release date, July 22nd. You can actually see what all of the dates are here. So July 22nd, August 26th, September 23rd, October 28th, November 25th, and December 23rd are all of the dates to look at for the money supply release. When we get this release, I do believe that the M2 supply is going to be significantly higher. Why? Because if we actually look at the last year, the M2 supply has been going absolutely crazy. In the last year, the M2 supply is actually up over almost $900 billion. Almost $1 trillion has been released in the last year. I do believe that this next release is going to be very significant with all of the discussions on rate cuts and rate discussions and what the Fed is going to do. Also, we already know that the Fed has been tapping into liquidity in a huge way. They've been printing money. And I do think that this next release is going to be very bullish for crypto. Why? Well, because Bitcoin is following the M2 supply. Over here from Colin Talks Crypto, we have global M2 money supply versus Bitcoin. It's time for Bitcoin to play some catch up with global M2. Bitcoin is breaking up out of the 7-month long inverse head and shoulders. The next leg up should be steep. You'll note that the global M2 has not stopped heading up for nearly 6 months. And no, it's not going to. They're going to continue to print money. This is programmed already into the global system. But over here, we actually have the global M2 versus the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin in orange, the M2 in yellow. If we actually think about this, okay, Bitcoin should have the next big push to 120, 130K from our current levels of even $100 and almost $17,000. We have been lagging behind the M2 supply for about roughly 84 days. Okay, and the fact that if we keep following this, we should be pushing to 150, 100 and almost $80,000 on Bitcoin going forward. This is extremely bullish, and it will happen by roughly October if we are going to follow this and lag behind it. October, November roughly is the time frame on this, but it's extremely bullish to focus on the M2 supply. Now, like I said, we have been following it. This is what Bitcoin looks like. Guys, I haven't seen a more beautiful setup in this space at all. Now, I have been focused on the 3-day more so when we actually look at these trend lines. This is what the 3-day looks like. We have that clear breakout going back to, the end of June. Here's the end of June, officially June 30th. We have a break and a close above the upper trend line. We closed above this trend line for 3 3-day candles in a row. We now have one of the most bullish 3-day candles in a very long time on Bitcoin. This candle alone is 7.86%. The last time that we had something bullish like this candle was actually when we were originally breaking out back in 2024. And yes, we have some bullish 3-day candles here. Like for an example, some of these are like roughly, 8%, 8.6% or so. But I'm just talking about the overall setup that we actually have here for Bitcoin. The last time that we had a squeeze like this on the chart and a big breakout was back here in October into November. So right now, Bitcoin is more bullish than, going back to the original impulsive move that took us to all-time highs. And we are now in price discovery. 120K is next, in my opinion. I don't believe that we stop there, but we will have sell-offs here and there where we do see opportunities really kind of arise around the altcoin market to accumulate more or even buy if we were kind of on the sidelines. But this is why I kept warning for weeks on end that once we actually start to break out, it's going to be extremely bullish. And also in terms of Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance for altcoins, this is what the 3-day view on altcoins actually looks like. On Bitcoin dominance looks like. This is very bullish for altcoins because we're now breaking down from these highs back in the end of June. And we have this trend line that I do believe we will retest here very soon. If we break below this trend line, we run these lows back in May. This would be about roughly 61.9%, 62%. We'll just round it up. I do think that we just continue to sell off though. What we want to actually see is extreme weakness, just like we saw back here in 2021. We want to see a cascade of Bitcoin dominance while Bitcoin is running higher. This will mean altcoins will have a massive surge. And by the way, altcoins are looking very bullish. I just went over the 7-day gains. This is what the XRP USD chart looks like. We are now clearing every single high on the weekly. If we close where we are at right now in the next roughly 2 days, 21 hours, because that's when the weekly candle close hits. If we close above $2.47, it will be the most bullish and the largest candle close on the weekly since going all the way back here in March of this year. This will also confirm a breakout on XRP, where I do believe the next stop is new all-time highs on the macro chart, going into price discovery and shocking almost everyone. XRP is not the only one though. HBAR also looks very good on the 3-day. We are now breaking out of this trend line, and the best part about this is that we are getting very close to retesting the highs from May. This is what we want to see across the board. Same with, XRP. XRP is almost retesting those May highs. We need to clear these highs though. We want to create a higher high before we flip extreme bullish and we FOMO into positions. We want to see these highs get completely broken, because until we actually get out of those highs and break above them, we are in higher time frame resistance. So the same goes for HBAR, the same goes for XLM, and the same goes for SUI. All of these charts are getting very close to higher time frame resistance. XLM is already there on the weekly. So we just need to be very cautious here until we see a clear breakout across the board for altcoins. But I do think that we're getting very close to calling alt season officially beginning. And this is where everyone that is and has been, I should say, holding altcoins for a while is going to be very excited. XRP, a lot of these altcoins on the yearly are still up insanely, bullish, percentages. For an example, XLM up almost 250%, HBAR up almost 200%, XRP up almost 500%, XDC up 162%, QNT 66%. I mean, gains across the board have been pretty good for a lot of altcoins, but we're not even in alt season yet. Bitcoin dominance is still over 60+%. When we actually start to see the huge moves of the cycle really kind of start for altcoins, you're going to be surprised by how fast some of these charts really break out. But I'm so excited to see everything flipping green for once in a very long time. It's been about roughly 6 months or so. Bitcoin looks insanely bullish here. I also have been focused on stocks. If you guys have been watching the channel for a bit of time, the S&P looks very good here. It seems as though we're going to avoid that retest of the previous highs for now. The next target I have set here on the S&P is about 69.60. Within this, move from where we currently are to this level, we will probably have, short-term pullbacks and shallow pullbacks. But for the most part, the entire market around the traditional stocks, but also even crypto, everything is so bullish right now. And I do think that this is going to continue for at least a few more, months. So definitely strap in, prepare, and get ready for some of the biggest moves of the cycle to really kind of begin. Be a little bit cautious here as we do get closer to higher time frame resistance. We are not out of the water yet on a lot of altcoins. In terms of Bitcoin, we already are above, significant levels. We're at all-time highs on Bitcoin. So we love to see that. I'm very bullish. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.